So, good morning, everybody. My name is Amanda Crowfoot. I'm Secretary General of the European University Association, for those who don't know me. And it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this event here today on transnational university cooperation. I'm particularly pleased we're able to do this in hybrid format. We planned an event like this earlier in 2022, but COVID stopped that happening. So it's great now that we've actually been able to do it before the end of the year. I'm pleased to say we've got 100 people registered to be here on site with us, but also 450 or more online. So I think that's a really good turnout, and I think it shows the importance of this topic for universities and generally policymakers. This topic of collaboration or cooperation is certainly important for EUA and its members. For those who don't know EUA so well, we have more than 850 members across the whole of the European higher education area, so that's 49 countries. And fostering cooperation is absolutely the key of what we do. So we do this through facilitating peer learning and exchange across Europe, and also by advocating for framework conditions and policy reforms that are needed to overcome the barriers to collaboration. Our latest briefing on this topic that we've produced at EUA, which was on the European University Initiative and system-level reforms, shows that even after all the achievements of the last 20 years of the Bologna process, there are still numerous system-level barriers to be overcome. I think it's true to say we're at a tipping point at the moment. Now, I know we've said this so many times in the last 2 years about so many different topics, but I think it's as true for transnational collaboration as it is for so many other things in life. And we've seen big changes in this area in the past decade. So we've seen the emergence of strategic partnerships and alliances, which have really deepened and expanded cooperation. And at the same time, we've seen a proliferation of different ways to cooperate. There's huge diversity in terms of transnational cooperation for universities, everything from bilateral student mobility to joint programs to collaborative research projects and so on. I think in Europe, the traditional view has always been that more cooperation and more mobility is better. But I think paradigms are shifting. We've obviously had the COVID-19 pandemic in the last 2 years. We're seeing major geopolitical crises, including obviously the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We're also grappling with the sustainability agenda. And I think all these things change how we view the world and how we engage the world. And this clearly impacts on the transnational cooperation done by universities as well. This is an important point to take stock in this topic. The pilot phase of the European University initiatives is coming to an end. We're about to have the midterm review of EU funding programmes, and so we really need to think now about where we want to go in the future of as universities. And we need to be informed by the wider context, not just necessarily constrained by it and driven by it. So we have called this event today Deepening, Widening, Focusing, How to Navigate Transnational University Cooperation into the Future. And I think that term navigate was chosen for a reason. Navigation is essential. So if you like, we need good captains of a ship, which is basically the leadership of universities. We need good crew, which is the university communities, the staff and the students. We need a good compass, which is the values and the missions that guide universities. And on a very practical level, we need enough water and we need the right wind direction, which you could say are the framework conditions, things like autonomy and sufficient funding for collaboration. There's a really nice quote from Aristotle, which says that we cannot direct the wind, but we can adjust the sails. And so what we're basically asking today is how do universities adjust their sails to best navigate transnational cooperation and to work across borders? So we're going to do this through 3 sessions this morning. We do have a slight change to the programme you will have seen. Due to some travel difficulties, we will actually reverse the first 2 sessions. So we'll start this morning with a panel discussion on the purpose, formats, frameworks and challenges for transnational university cooperation. Then we'll have an exchange of academic perspectives on the past and the future of cooperation. And then we'll finish after the coffee break with a panel on the international dimension and the future prospects for international collaboration. Also throughout the morning, what we'd like to do is show you a few short videos that give voice to the diversity of EUA's members on this particular topic. So, before I hand over to our first moderator for our first panel, we will start by listening to what our members have to say about the purpose and added value of transnational collaboration. In other words, why it's important to them.
Our university must respond to an ever-changing educational and professional society, constantly linked with new generations of learners, traditional or non-traditional, with shape-shifting professional needs and roles. And such a mission cannot be fulfilled alone, isolated from the global higher education market.
We work with international partners so that we can provide global opportunities for our students, so that they can take part in exchange programs, undertake study work placements overseas, to help them to learn the language and experience different cultures, to allow them to gain invaluable skills for what is arguably becoming an increasingly international workplace. And in return, we really welcome international exchange students, as well as visiting postgraduate students on our campus. It brings diversity to our classroom. And in terms of the research benefits, obviously working with universities internationally, it allows our academics to connect with other world-leading experts and specialists in their field to tackle those really big global issues.
By teaming up with international partners, we are not only able to gain access to a wider range of expertise, but also to raise the university's visibility on the international stage. Participating in large international research projects can give access to much wider funding capacity, much more than what can be provided by the national research funds in our country, Iceland.
The exchange of staff and students is an issue quite well established in my university. There are many students coming and going. We also have a quite strong record of participation in research projects in the European Framework Program. Normally we have active around 50 projects every time. And we also cooperate a lot with Latin America because of the language. So we are part of many international networks. And then we offer opportunities for people from, let's say, low-income countries to come here with grants, scholarships.
As a university, we engage in international cooperation under many different forms for a number of reasons. First of all, the university believes that international cooperation is vital in opening up the horizon of our staff and students, in achieving multi-perspectivism, and evidently also in offering excellent education, research and innovation. The university is an important driver for our cities and regions' development, and we reach out to stakeholders in the public and private spheres in our region. Of course, international cooperation boosts our university's output, its reputation and recruitment potential. We also have a very long tradition in capacity building projects with partners in the global south, and at the same time also a long-standing tradition in participating in EU-funded collaborative programs, both in education and research.
Cyprus University of Technology is a small university. I mean, Cyprus is a small country, but we have a high level of academic staff who have experience abroad. And the fact that we are a small country, a small university, and on an island, it means that we are a little bit far from the center, the core, from the industry in Europe. So we need to have a very good network, both in Europe and beyond, in order to have, this strategic position that we would like to have, and to be like a competitiveness hub for Europe, both thanks to our high research capabilities, but also because of our strategic position in the middle of 3 continents.
Research, of course, is international per definition. But in the new globalized world, where the society and also the labor market are increasingly open and multicultural, education also needs to be international. We cannot educate for Lapland alone. Our slogan is "For the North, for the world." International collaboration is also important for understanding the world that we live in and that we serve. No university can be an island. So in a way, in the modern world, there is no such thing as a university that could not engage in international collaboration. That's my strong opinion. Together, simply, we're just stronger. And many of the issues today are such that no one country or no one institution or no one discipline even could possibly somehow provide all the answers.
I am on, yes. That's hopefully given you a first glimpse about the importance of transnational cooperation for our members. And at this point now, we're going to have our first panel. So I'd like to hand over to moderate that panel to my colleague Anna-Lena Kleis-Kulik, who's Deputy Director for Policy Coordination and Foresight at EUA. So please, Anna-Lena, take my place, and we invite the panelists for the first panel to come up and join us.